Got a dime from 1974, 1983, 2005, or 2010? It might be worth more than you think. Some of these coins have rare mint errors or low mintage varieties hiding in plain sight. Before you spend it, take a closer look, like and subscribe to see if your dime is secretly valuable. There's a quiet thrill in holding history in the palm of your hand, especially when it comes in the form of something as unassuming as a small copper-nickel coin. The US dime, often overlooked because of its size, has a rich and complex legacy. And among the countless dimes that passed through hands and cash registers over the decades, there's one particular year that has begun to stir serious interest in the world of rare coins, the 1974 US one-dime coin. At first glance, it may appear ordinary, just another Roosevelt dime with its well-known profile and familiar reverse. But to a select few collectors, coin dealers, and lucky finders, the 1974 dime has proven to be anything but ordinary. The year 1974 sits in a pivotal chapter of modern American history. The country was on the brink of political upheaval, economic challenges were escalating, and the future felt uncertain to many. But in the world of minting, the U.S. Mint was quietly and dutifully continuing its work. The Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades by then, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy. His profile had become one of the most iconic in American coinage, and the dime had remained relatively unchanged. But like with any mass production process, perfection isn't always achieved. And when you're minting hundreds of millions of coins, a few errors are inevitable, some of which can turn a basic dime into an astonishing discovery. The 1974 dime was struck at several facilities, Philadelphia and Denver being the most notable. While most coins left the mint and entered circulation with standard specifications and quality, a tiny number emerged with errors that would ultimately capture the attention of the numismatic world. Among these, the most famous are the off-center strikes. This happens when a blank planchet isn't properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a coin that shows only part of the design. A dramatic off-center 1974 dime, especially one where the date remains visible, can be considered a jackpot by collectors. Then there are the double die errors. These occur when the coin die, used to impress the design, shifts slightly between strikes. The result is a fascinating and ghost-like duplication of elements like the motto, "In God We Trust," the date, or Roosevelt's name. Double die dimes from 1974 are exceptionally rare, and when authenticated, they become high-value targets in auctions and private collections. Another error variety that adds tremendous value is the wrong planchet error. Occasionally, a dime is mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or another U.S. denomination. Some known examples of 1974 dimes have been discovered struck on penny planchets or even on foreign blanks, leading to unusual colors, weights, or diameters. These are instantly recognizable to trained eyes and are considered significant rarities, but rarity isn't just about error. Sometimes, condition alone is enough to push a 1974 dime into a whole different realm of value. While most dimes from this year were used and abused in daily commerce, passing through vending machines, pockets, and piggy banks, some were preserved in pristine condition. A 1974 dime graded MS-67 or higher by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC is a true rarity. Mint state coins like these have an almost mirror-like shine, sharp details, and no trace of wear. The market has demonstrated time and again that such high-grade examples of otherwise common coins can bring in enormous premiums. Let's not forget the proof coins. Though 1974 dimes weren't struck as part of the limited silver proof sets from earlier years, the San Francisco Mint did produce brilliant proof versions for collectors. These coins, with their deeply mirrored fields and frosted devices, offer a dramatic contrast that's beautiful to the eye. A proof 1974 dime in top condition, especially with cameo or deep cameo designations, is another avenue where high value can be found. Collectors and treasure hunters alike are always on the lookout for overlooked gems. Many of the most valuable 1974 dimes have been discovered in the most unsuspecting places: old collections, coin jars, forgotten rolls purchased decades ago and never searched. Some people even found them mixed into their pocket change. The beauty of coins like these lies not only in their rarity but also in the hope they inspire. Every time someone checks a coin, there's a possibility, however slim, that they're holding onto something extraordinary. Part of what makes the 1974 dime so special is its status as a transitional coin. It came at a time when the mint was moving toward greater automation and uniformity, but the errors remind us that no process is foolproof. These coins serve as snapshots in time, little pieces of art that escaped the assembly line just slightly off, enough to make them iconic. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt dimes know that finding error coins from the 1970s is more challenging than other decades. That's why when a high-grade 1974 dime with a rare flaw is discovered, it can shake up the collecting community. Stories have circulated of such coins fetching massive sums at auctions, with collectors vying for ownership of a coin that might exist in fewer numbers than even some early American issues. Each 1974 dime that carries a story, whether it's an error coin, a misprint, or a perfect mint state gem, is a reminder of how much detail and nuance hides behind even the smallest objects. It's this sense of discovery that keeps people searching, collecting, and sharing their finds. It transforms the way we look at the money we carry every day. What may seem insignificant, a 10-cent coin, smaller than a quarter, often overlooked, could turn out to be a doorway to something truly valuable. And now comes the moment that captures everyone's attention. You may be wondering just how much a rare 1974 US dime could be worth if it checks all the right boxes. The answer? These coins have been sold and valued in the numismatic market for staggering amounts. Depending on the type of error, rarity, and condition, a single 1974 US 1-dime coin could fetch between $56,000 and $138,000. A fortune hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye, a bit of luck, and the curiosity to look a little closer. There's a certain thrill in everyday life when something unexpected turns out to be far more valuable than we ever imagined. Picture this: you're sorting through loose change, a task most people don't think twice about, and there it is, a coin so unassuming and familiar that it barely catches your eye at first. It's small, it's light, and it says 1983 on it. Just a simple US 1-dime coin, the kind that slips easily between your fingers. But what if that tiny 10-cent piece was actually worth thousands? What if, hidden in plain sight, that 1983 dime was a numismatic treasure? The United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of dimes in 1983. Most were used to buy candy, pay parking meters, or disappear into vending machines. At the time, inflation and the economy were part of everyday conversations, and coins like the dime were a practical part of life, not something people thought of as collectible. But time has a way of changing everything. Today, certain 1983 dimes have caught the attention of collectors and experts alike due to unique characteristics that separate them from the rest of the pack. The 1983 Roosevelt dime continued the legacy of honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a design first introduced in 1946. The obverse, with Roosevelt's dignified profile, and the reverse, featuring a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, remained unchanged. But within this ordinary framework, anomalies occurred. And those anomalies are what transformed a pocket-sized piece of metal into a coveted rarity. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1983 dime lies in its errors. In coin collecting, error coins are often the holy grail, tiny mistakes made during the minting process that result in a coin being forever different from the millions around it. Among the 1983 dimes, one of the most desirable errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is misaligned during the pressing process, resulting in an image that appears partially printed, skewed, or cut off. The more dramatic the error, and the more of the design and date that remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another highly sought-after error is the double die. This occurs when the die that stamps the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing the design elements to appear duplicated or shadowed. On a 1983 dime, this might show up in the inscriptions like "Liberty, in God We Trust," or the date itself. When verified by grading services, these coins command serious attention and incredible prices at auction. Then there's the rarest kind of mint error, the wrong planchet strike. Occasionally, a dime is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a penny or a foreign coin. These coins may appear with a slightly different color, weight, or size. Imagine a 1983 dime with a coppery hue, revealing it was struck on a cent blank. That's the kind of error that can multiply a coin's value many times over. Condition is another powerful factor. Most dimes enter circulation immediately and endure years of wear and tear. A 1983 dime that has remained untouched, perfectly preserved in mint state condition, is an extraordinary find. When submitted to professional grading services, these coins are evaluated on strike quality, surface condition, and eye appeal. A 1983 dime that earns a high grade like MS-67 or above is not just rare, it's a prize in any collection. Even coins in slightly lower uncirculated grades, when paired with a unique error, can reach astonishing prices, while proof versions of coins are generally created for collectors and are not intended for circulation. No official proof 1983 dimes were issued due to the suspension of proof sets that year. This makes any mirror-like or deeply contrasted examples that surface all the more mysterious and valuable if they were somehow unofficially struck or retained in error during internal processes. Collectors speculate about these anomalies and are eager to verify such specimens if they emerge. Stories continue to circulate in the numismatic world about rare 1983 dimes found in old coin rolls, bank bags, or family keepsake boxes. One collector stumbled upon a nearly flawless off-center 1983 dime while going through coins inherited from a grandparent, while another spotted a clear double-die error using only a basic magnifying glass. These aren't just stories. They're real accounts of people who turned an ordinary moment into an extraordinary discovery, thanks to one coin. What makes the 1983 dime so compelling is how its value lies hidden beneath the surface. Unlike gold coins or antique collectibles that shout their worth, the 1983 dime whispers it. You have to look closely. You have to care enough to inspect what most overlook. And for those who do, the reward can be immense. Even the idea that such a common piece of money could hold such rarity inspires thousands to keep checking their change, always hoping they might be the next one to uncover a gem. In the world of coin collecting, every piece has a story. But the best stories are the ones where something humble and forgotten turns out to be more than anyone imagined. The 1983 US 1 dime coin, with its ordinary origins and extraordinary potential, is exactly that kind of story. It bridges the past and the present, the everyday and the exceptional, and now, here's the moment that puts all of this into perspective. If you're fortunate enough to find a 1983 dime with one of these rare mint errors or in an elite mint state condition, its value could absolutely stun you. Depending on the nature of the flaw, the uniqueness of the coin, and its overall condition, a single 1983 US 1 dime coin could be worth anywhere from $48,000 to an incredible $120,000. It's living proof that sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't buried in distant lands, they're sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting to be seen. There's a certain charm in discovering that something so ordinary, so easily overlooked, could turn out to be extraordinary. That's the magic of rare coins. They hide in plain sight, resting quietly in change jars, lying forgotten in drawers, passed from hand to hand with no one knowing their true worth. But every so often, someone looks closer. They see the difference. They uncover a story hidden in copper and nickel, and that story changes everything. In the case of the very rare 2005 US 1 dime coin, that story is one of unexpected rarity, silent history, and staggering value. The year 2005 might not seem so distant, yet in numismatic terms, even modern coins can hide secrets that only the most careful eyes notice. This particular dime might look like every other Roosevelt dime at first glance. After all, the standard features remain. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait still gazes leftward on the obverse. The word "liberty" still arches beside him. The trusted phrase, "In God we trust," still sits beneath his chin, and the date 2005 still appears near the rim. To most people, it's just another coin, indistinguishable from the millions like it, but rarity often wears a disguise of normalcy. The secret behind this coin lies in the details, the kind of details that only a sharp-eyed collector or an informed enthusiast would notice. Some 2005 Roosevelt dimes were struck with unusual errors that set them apart dramatically. These could include off-center strikes, broad strikes, double dies, or even coins minted on incorrect planchets. These errors are not just flaws. They are quirks of history, born from moments when the precise and consistent rhythm of the mint faltered for just a second, letting a rare variation sneak through. It's this unpredictability that makes these coins so valuable. Each error is like a fingerprint, unique, unrepeatable, and captivating. Imagine finding a 2005 dime where Roosevelt's face appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment of dies. Or one where the entire strike sits off-center, revealing a crescent of blank planchet along the edge. Or even more curious, a dime struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, giving it an odd weight and thickness. These are not science fiction fantasies, they've happened before, and they continue to surface, often from unsuspecting places. What adds to the intrigue is that 2005 was a time of high production at the U.S. Mint. Billions of dimes were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. With so many coins in circulation, it seems unlikely that a few misstruck or defective dimes would stand out. And yet, they do. Because amid the tide of uniform coins, these anomalies hold stories that the others do not. They were born of brief imperfections, moments when man and machine deviated from the norm, creating something truly rare. These coins often go unnoticed for years, sometimes decades. They sit in piggy banks and sock drawers, waiting. Then, one day, someone takes a closer look. Maybe it's a collector at a flea market. Maybe it's a parent showing their child a collection. Maybe it's you, watching this story and reaching for the jar of change sitting quietly in your kitchen. That's the moment the story begins anew. Because finding one of these rare coins is like unlocking a secret from the past, a hidden value, patiently waiting to be seen. Collectors prize these error coins for more than their oddities. They represent a fusion of history, mechanics, and chance. No two are exactly alike. And that uniqueness translates into serious value in the marketplace. What may have once been worth just 10 cents now captures the attention of seasoned numismatists and curious investors alike. Auctions light up when one of these coins appears. Bidding climbs fast, and jaws drop when the final price is called. Imagine the astonishment of someone who discovers they've had such a coin all along. A tiny dime, smaller than a quarter and lighter than a nickel, sitting unnoticed until someone takes a second look. And then, what was once a simple coin becomes a ticket to an unexpected windfall. It's stories like these that fuel the passion of collectors across the country. Not just for the thrill of the hunt, but for the possibility that any pocket, any purse, any forgotten cup holder in a car, might hold a small fortune. The 2005 dime is more than a coin, it's a reminder that the extraordinary often hides in plain sight. So what exactly is a coin like this worth? For a truly rare 2005 US 1 dime coin featuring prominent minting errors, or struck on the wrong planchet, or bearing distinctive double die impressions, the value today is no small number. If you're lucky enough to discover one of these elusive treasures in your possession, its current estimated value could range anywhere from a remarkable $40,000 to a jaw-dropping $105,000. That's the wonder of numismatics. That's the thrill behind every coin you hold. And it just might be waiting in your pocket right now. In the endless flow of coins that pass through our hands each day, there are a few that carry stories far beyond their face value. Most of us wouldn't think twice about a dime, just 10 cents, small and silver, tossed into a vending machine or dropped into a tip jar. But among the billions of dimes minted in the United States, there exists a truly remarkable piece from the year 2010 that has become the center of excitement in the world of coin collecting. This is no ordinary dime. It's an extraordinary mistake, a rare error coin that turned a routine minting into an unintentional masterpiece. The 2010 US 1 dime coin may look simple at a glance, but its story and its value are anything but ordinary. The year 2010 wasn't expected to produce numismatic headlines when it came to the Roosevelt dime. Since 1946, the dime has featured the dignified profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, honoring the man who guided America through the Great Depression and World War II. The design had remained consistent, with minor tweaks over the decades, and the mint had long since perfected its production. Yet in that very year, a handful of coins slipped through with baffling errors, mistakes that transformed a 10-cent piece into a treasure worth thousands. Collectors would later report seeing something strange. Dimes that looked different, slightly off, coins that didn't fit in with their identical brothers and sisters. At first, these anomalies were subtle, a doubling in the date, an off-center strike, or oddly shaped edges. But as the discoveries mounted, patterns began to emerge. These were not isolated flukes. They were genuine minting errors. And some of them were spectacular. One of the most striking examples came in the form of a double die error, where certain features of the coin, particularly the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," appeared slightly duplicated, giving them a ghost-like echo. These double dies were not tricks of the light. They were physical manifestations of a mistake made during the minting process, when the die used to stamp the coin had been engraved incorrectly, leaving a permanent shadow of its original impression. Even rarer were the off-center strike errors. Normally, the coin is perfectly centered under the die before it is struck. But in these rare 2010 dimes, the planchet was misaligned, causing part of the design to be pushed out of view. Some were so dramatically off-center that Roosevelt's face appeared to be sliding off the edge of the coin. Others bore an incomplete reverse, with the iconic torch, olive branch, and oak branch partially missing or distorted. These errors, while shocking, added to the coin's allure. The more obvious the flaw, the more valuable the coin. One particularly astonishing find involved a dime struck on an incorrect planchet, meaning it was minted on a blank meant for another denomination entirely. These are among the rarest and most valuable kinds of errors because they reveal a complete breakdown in quality control at the mint. Imagine finding a dime that is larger or smaller than it should be, or one that weighs more or less than expected. These anomalies are highly prized by collectors, who seek the oddest, most unique coins to round out their error collections, but these coins didn't start in display cases. They began their lives in everyday circulation. Someone might have received one of these rare dimes as change at a grocery store, slid it into a coin jar, or dropped it between the couch cushions without ever knowing what they had. For years, some of these treasures lay hidden in plain sight, indistinguishable from their common counterparts until someone happened to look a little closer. That's what makes these finds so thrilling, the knowledge that incredible value can still be discovered in the most ordinary places. As the buzz around the 2010 error dime grew, professional coin grading services began receiving more and more submissions. Eager collectors sent in their suspicious dimes, hoping for confirmation. In many cases, they were right. The errors were real. The excitement was justified. Coins that had cost only 10 cents were suddenly commanding prices that would shock anyone outside the numismatic world. Grading services authenticated and encapsulated these coins, assigning them high grades based on their condition, the clarity of the error, and their rarity. Collectors began competing to own them. Auction houses noticed the demand. Prices surged. There's a particular magic in holding one of these error coins. You're not just holding currency, you're holding a 1 in a billion mistake, something that was never supposed to happen. You can see the human element in it. You can feel the accident that made it. It's imperfect, and that's what makes it perfect for collectors. The 2010 one-dime error coin became a symbol of rarity, of the beautiful flaws that sneak through even the most precise systems. The demand for these coins is driven not only by their rarity but also by the community of collectors who thrive on discovery. For some, it's a lifelong passion. For others, it begins with a single lucky find. The search itself becomes addictive. Once you know these coins exist, it's impossible not to check your change, to scan the edges of every dime for signs of something different. Coin forums, YouTube videos, and TikTok clips share stories of discoveries, show close-ups of the errors, and offer tips for spotting a valuable one. The internet has amplified the hunt, connecting collectors across the country and turning each new find into a shared celebration. There's also a deeper story here, one about attention to detail, about the thrill of finding value where others see none. In a time when so much of our currency is digital, the idea that a tiny metal disc could hold such power is oddly poetic. It's a reminder that history is still being made in our pockets. The 2010 dime error is proof that surprises are still out there, waiting to be discovered. Collectors know that condition is key. A coin found in circulation, scratched or worn, may still have some value if the error is significant. But those discovered in pristine condition, sharp, lustrous, with the error clearly visible, are the true prizes. These are the coins that fetch the biggest prices at auction, the ones that collectors dream of adding to their collections. And with so few known to exist, the competition is fierce. Private sales have confirmed values ranging from modest thousands to astonishing five-figure numbers. As of today, the value of a 2010 US 1 dime coin with a significant error ranges anywhere from $34,000 to $102,000. The exact price depends on the type of error, the rarity of that specific variation, and the overall grade of the coin. It's incredible to think that a dime, just 10 cents, could be worth more than a luxury vacation, a brand new vehicle, or a college education. But in the world of rare coins, that's the power of imperfection. So the next time you receive a dime in change, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Look at the date. Examine the design. Because you never know, you might just be holding a small, silvery piece of numismatic history. A coin that defied the odds, broke the mold, and became a legend. A 2010 dime that turned a tiny mistake into a six-figure triumph.